What's going on, everyone? So reports have came out about a potential Zach Lavine in exchange for Bradley Beal. Maybe pulling off a trade like that, Zach Lavine would go to the Phoenix Suns. I think that is a terrible idea. Now, look, I am somebody that is very high on Zach Lavine. I am somebody that has been screaming for Zach Lavine to the Lakers. But he makes sense and he fits the Lakers, right? Again, you're swapping. The reason Bradley Beal is so bad on the Suns is not because Bradley Beal is a bad player. It's because he doesn't fit or make sense, right? So bringing in a guy like a Zach Lavine does, like, yeah, you could argue is an upgrade, more efficient scorer, better off-ball shooter, right? So I think they would be better, but you still have a lot of the same redundancies, right? Like, you still have the backing order. And now Lavine is the clear-cut third option scoring-wise, and he's not going to give you the production he needs. He's not, like, elite defensively. He is good defensively. He's at or around league average pretty much every year. And then, he's a guy, like I said, better off ball. He's a better playmaker. He's not really a playmaker. He's a guy that can make plays, but he's better at that than a Bradley Beal, in my opinion. I just think the type of plays that he can make are just better. But again, he's not the guy you want at the point guard position. Do you really want him playing the three? Right? Like, and now you still have all the same problems. Size, defense, toughness, right? Like, yeah, you might be better offensively, right? But I don't know. Because again, Zach Lavine wants to do all the same things that Kevin Durant and Devin Booker do. Yes, maybe it's a better fit position-wise because he's bigger, but it still doesn't add up, right? The problem that the Suns have is they have too many redundancies. And on top of having the redundancies, they don't have the size and two-way guys and all the things to complement those redundancies, even with the redundancies. So not only do you have like 20 holes that you need to fill, but on top, which they did do one. I think Nick Richards is great for them. But on top of that, you're going to go get a guy that, again, wants to do the same thing that Bradley Beal or Devin Booker and Kevin Durant want to do. That's why I am incredibly confident that Bradley Beal leaves the Suns. If he goes to a team that makes sense, right? He's got to go to a team that makes sense. Like, supposedly the Milwaukee Bucks. Like, again, that's another thing that doesn't make sense. Bradley Beal and Damian Lillard want to do the same thing, right? But if he went to, right, like, for example, he made sense in Miami last year, because this was before Tyler Hero took the leaps that he's taken this year. But you had Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. All three guys play different positions. All three guys want to do and operate in different ways, right? Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler gave you the toughness and the physicality and the guys that are willing to do the dirty work, but they really needed that consistent bucket getter. They needed a guy that go get you 25, 5, and 5 on a nightly basis. Guess what Bradley Beal can do? Guy that go get you 25, 5, and 5 on a nightly basis. I think if he went to the right fit, we'll use my Lakers as an example. First off, I want to say, absolutely not. I do not want Bradley Beal anywhere near the Lakers. But just for the fit sake, just for the argument's sake, to better understand like the situation, if he were to go to the Lakers, he would make more sense. He would fit, and he'd probably be back to a 23, 5, and 5 guy. Why? Because LeBron James and Anthony Davis play different positions than him, and they all want to do different things than him, right? So Bradley Beal, the Lakers could use that consistent bucket getter, a guy that can just go get buckets, right? A guy that you can count on is going to get you 20 plus on a nightly basis. Bradley Beal's a guy that could do that. He would make more sense on a team like the Lakers because of the fit. But when you have 3, 4, 5 guys that all want to do the same thing, it doesn't make sense. And going and getting Zach Lavine just replaces one redundancy for another redundancy, right? Like, yeah, maybe this redundancy is a little better, but it's not like they're not all of a sudden going to be a contender again because all of the same issues are still there, right? And Zach Lavine, yes, he's having an incredibly efficient season, but he's going to be the third guy, just like Bradley Beal is, because Devin Booker isn't going to relinquish the first spot. Kevin Durant should be your second because he's the best out of all of them, right? So you're going to make KD your third option? Right? So no, guess what? That means Zach Lavine is going to be your third option. Now people could say, right? Because again, I'm a Laker guy. Talk about Zach Lavine on the Lakers. People go, well, Zach Lavine would be a third option on the Lakers. Yes, on paper, but on most, if not regular nights, he's probably going to be the first or second option because the Lakers need a guy like him. The Lakers don't have that natural bucket getter, that natural scorer, right? So a guy like Zach Lavine makes sense because What does LeBron want to do? He wants to look down and shoot a three, or he wants to put his head down and bully to the basket. He's not a guy that's over here saucing it up, doing all this crazy stuff in his bag, and just elevating, shooting over the top and doing all that stuff. Same thing with Anthony Davis, right? Like he wants to knock down the elbow, the 15-footer, right? Or just like beat guys off the dribble and get to the basket. Guy like Zach Lavine opens up and is a three-level scorer. They don't have that. Even Austin Reeves is inconsistent at times, right? So a guy like Zach Lavine makes sense and would plug in, and you're just asking him, hey, you know what you're doing in Chicago? Yeah, just keep doing that. Exact same thing, just keep doing that. LeBron and AD would probably conform around Zach Lavine rather than Zach Lavine having to conform around them because the Lakers need what Zach Lavine provides. The Phoenix Suns do not need that. Phoenix Suns, the last thing they need is another bucket getter. They need 3-and-D wings. They need guys like, again, Nick Richards was perfect. Guy that's willing to do the dirty work, hustle, doesn't need the ball, can just rebound, be a lob threat, and defend. Right? That's all they needed. They didn't need to go get a Nurk. They didn't need to do all this stuff. That's why I said as soon as they made the moves that they made, I was like, that's it, they're cooked. Right? Like, they literally just ruined their franchise. And everyone told me, like, oh no, like, you don't know ball, like, give them the championship now already. Well, one of us was right? And they're terrible, and they're not even a play-in team, right? They're bad. They're a very bad basketball team. And it's because they don't make sense. And going and getting Zach Lavine isn't going to magically make sense. Now, part of this could just be, you're trying to show face, right? Like you're trying to, you want Jimmy Butler, they're playing hardball. So it's like, oh, okay, fine. If you don't want to do this, then we'll just go and, you can be stuck with Jimmy Butler and all the chaos going on with that. We'll just go get a Zach Lavine, right? And from Chicago's standpoint, they would get the picks, right? Like you're stuck with Zach Lavine or you're stuck with Bradley Beal, right? Both guys give you the same thing either way, but at least you get picks in the deal, right? So you're turning Zach Lavine into firsts. And you kind of replace Zach Lavine, so you still have a guy that you can maybe move at some point or whatever. Problem is with Bradley Beal, lift his no trade clause to go to Chicago. That's the $1,000,000 question, right? Is that something that they'd be open and willing to do, or he would be open and willing to do? That I don't know. But again, you're trading one redundancy for another. It makes no sense. I don't know. Like, I hope that this is just, like, I'm not a Suns fan. I could care less. But the basketball fan in me that wants competitive basketball, I want to see teams be competitive. The last thing Phoenix needs to do is go and trade for another player that is exactly like the other players that you have. I really hope that this is just smoke and they're just trying to, throw teams like Miami off or whatever. Because if this is like real, like if they really want to go get Zach Lavine, it makes zero sense, right? If Zach Lavine, like I've even argued Zach Lavine to Denver, I think makes more sense, right? Because they don't, like, outside of Jamal Murray, like, they don't really have that self-creator besides, Jamal Murray, right? Michael Porter Jr. he's more catch and shoot, wants to get off 2 dribbles, pull up, right, type thing, where Zach Lavine gives you that explosiveness, gives you that dynamic. Zach Lavine, I do think makes sense on a team like Denver, right? He gives them just a completely different look offensively. I think would make them more explosive offensively. And I think Zach Lavine can, he'd have to change a little bit, but I still think that they need him to be what he is, especially with Jamal Murray and the way that he's kind of played this season, right? He's played better in recent, but, he's still those concerns. So, again, I do think that there are teams that make sense for Zach Lavine. It's just not the Phoenix Suns. Phoenix Suns are not one of them. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? I feel what are your thoughts? Do you agree with me? Disagree with me? Kind of mixed in the middle? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it either way, so let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out, so we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.